So, what if you chose a word for 2026 instead of a resolution? Okay, it's second week in January, end of second week in January, and many of us have chosen resolutions. Well, maybe we picked them back in December of 2025. And in many cases, some of us have already broken them just 2 weeks into the year. And it's tough because resolutions for a lot of us, they equal pressure. But what if what if a word was greater than a resolution? What if you could have greater impact and greater clarity, greater outcomes by choosing a word? Now, for me, January is tough. January is really, really tough because January is the time in my business, the work that I do in keynote speaking, executive education, facilitating workshops and retreats. January is the time where business is it's slow, but also it provides the opportunity to check in with old clients, to design new keynotes, to connect with friends maybe I haven't connected with in a while. It's this planning reflection phase that a lot of people are excited about. And we do the planners and the vision boards and the resolutions. Now, January is tough because also it reminds me of a pretty big loss. Several years ago, I was on a business trip. I was speaking at a conference earlier that morning. I connected with my good friends for our bi-weekly mastermind where we talked all things life and business. Went to the conference that day, spoke at the conference that day in Chicago. And I remember being at the airport and getting the phone call that one of my closest friends, Michael, had died. And every January starts to hit me again a little bit. So January is full of opportunity, it's full of excitement, it's full of new start. But it's also for some of us when we think about holidays or difficult moments. I had someone on my email list tell me that they're choosing joy as their word for the year because they have just been hit with some pretty devastating losses, but they're still going to choose joy. And January means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And sometimes in our desire to navigate the newness of January, we pick these resolutions. We make these promises to ourselves, we make these promises to the world around us because we're responding to some of the pain or discomfort or frustration that we've experienced. We make these promises. This is going to be the year that I do X, that I do Y, that I do Z. And I want to challenge you, and it doesn't even matter if you've already broken your resolution. I want to challenge you to pick a word for the year. Because a word can really act like a filter. So in 2025, I chose a word. And my word for 2025 was collaboration. Because I said there is more than enough opportunity out here. It's more than enough. And if I want to take advantage of the opportunities that are out here, I got to stop going solo dolo on everything. You know how some of us are. We want to figure it out. We want to bootstrap it. We want to watch the video, kind of like you're watching the video now, and go on this journey alone. And sometimes that is rooted in the disappointment, the frustration, the hardship that we are reminded of as at the top of the year. But I chose collaboration. And I said in 2025, of all the things that I'm doing, I'm going to seek more opportunities to connect with people who are like-minded, who maybe are doing similar work. And I want to think through what are the opportunities for shared wins. What are the opportunities for shared wins? So in 2025, Had a couple of big collaborations. Started a speakers mastermind with my good friend Kamon, and that was incredible. We had four rounds of this. We did some virtual training around what it meant to be a purpose, faith driven speaker in a wider marketplace. And then we had these in person master classes that ended with a speaker showcase. And it was really, really cool to work with Kamon in this way. I worked with my friend Seth on these executive coaching cohorts. We called them the executive mindset. And these were really insightful cohort in which we learned, we grew, we challenged each other, we challenged the people in the cohort. We built something together. It started off with an idea and a handful of us, and what we came out with on the other side, we were really proud of. And we're starting the executive mindset coaching cohort again somewhere around Q1, end of Q1 around March. We'll start cohort 2, and that's built in collaboration. I've also had some just incredible ideation sessions with several friends of mine, and it's helpful because I'm the type of person that loves to think in community. My core strength. If you've ever taken a Strengths Finder, Clifton Strengths Finder, my core strength is ideation. One of my challenges, though, and I call this with a lot of groups that I teach, one of my challenges is what I call the mad scientist view. And I frame a mad scientist as someone who likes to go off alone in the dark, create a masterpiece without any insight, without any feedback, without any perspective from anyone else, release that masterpiece to the world, and then sometimes get upset when people don't like their masterpiece. And I have a little bit of a mad scientist complex, or I wrestle with mad scientist syndrome. I want to ideate by myself, come up with something amazing with no pushback, with no nudge, no one pulling on the loose threads, share it with the world, and expect everyone to fall in love with it. And I also love community. So I've started asking myself, how can I better ideate in community and find these collaborative experiences where I can draw from the insight and perspective of others. And I'm not just talking about doing it with a chat bot using Claude or Chat GPT and talking to the large language model. I find some resonance, some synergy. I get a lot of having conversations with real people in real time. And I had several of those in 2025. And I was really excited, proud of, reflective as I think about the good work that came out of that collaboration. So I said, let me pick a word for 2026. Now, I shared this on LinkedIn. I also shared it on my email list of about 1,000 people, my modest email list, that my word for 2026, my word is quality. That's my word for 2026. And remember what I was saying before, that the word is a filter. And quality is really important because I'm thinking about the work that I want to do in 2026. I'm thinking about the life that I want to live in 2026. And I want to be intentional about choosing projects, choosing opportunities that have a distinct quality to them, that are reflective of the work and the brand. We're not in a space where we're looking for exposure per se. And I remember when I just started out in the speaking world, the training, the consulting world, I remember I was looking to grab up any and every opportunity because I wanted that exposure, even if the opportunity did not provide the best quality. Even if I took it as a loss, I took the loss as a gain because the experience helped me grow. And we're not in the exposure phase of of this work anymore. So the work that I have to do, the work that I choose to do, has to have a distinct quality and needs to be reflective of the brand that I've built, the work that I've built up to this point. I'm also concerned about the quality of life for myself and for my family, for my wife, for my kids. And what things will I choose that directly contribute to a higher quality of life? Around Q Q4 last year, Q4 2025, I got a trainer, started working out because I said, this year, 2026, I'll be 45, and I want a certain quality of physical life. Now, I was also leveraging collaboration because I tried for years just to work out by myself. That's why I got a coach. I wanted to be in partnership with someone the end of last year, and now in this year we're continuing to work out because quality of life is important for me. So this word quality, the work that I do has to be reflective of a certain quality. The conversations that I have has to be reflective of a certain quality. The places and spaces where I choose to spend my time have to reflect a certain quality. Now, I said before that I sent this out to my email list that my word for 2026 is quality. And a handful of people hit me back, and one person said, they said to me, Pierre, I had never chosen a word. I'd always chosen a resolution. And a couple of weeks into the year, I felt frustrated because I broke the resolution. I broke that promise to myself. And they said they were encouraged reading my email about choosing a word for the year. And they were so encouraged by it that they said they were going to share this concept with their entire team. That they were going to have this conversation and use this prompt in their next team conversation. And I think that's helpful for us as we're starting the year, in the first month of the year, as we think about our life and our leadership and the impact that we want to make, the experiences that we want to have. I think we need to be first clear about what's the season of life that we're in. What's that particular season that you're navigating? What phase of life are you dealing with? What are you experiencing? And I think after we reflect on the season of life that we're in, I think it makes it a little bit easier to talk about what's the word that describes how you want to navigate that season of life that you're in, and what's the word that describes how you want to navigate this particular season of life. Someone else on my email list, in response to this thought about choosing a word for the year, he said his word was purposeful. I want to live on purpose. I want to be intentional about being in the moment and not miss the incredible opportunity that comes along with living life to a greater fullness because they weren't living with intention. They weren't living on purpose. So his word was purposeful. And a handful of other people responded as well. So here's my challenge for you. Here's my challenge for you as we start the year, as we start this series of conversations. My word for last year was collaboration. My word for this year is quality. Reflect on the season of life that you're in. What are you navigating? What stage of your career are you in? What stage of your family are you in right now? What are you dealing with? And then 2, choose a word that describes how you want to navigate this particular season. My word is quality. So I want to do work that has a certain quality, a certain distinction to it that's reflective of the brand and a reputation and impact that I've had up to this point. And I also want to lend my time, my talent, my attention, my resources to things that directly lead to a higher quality of life for myself and for my family. So that's my season. That's my word. And I want to challenge you to spend some time thinking about your season, thinking about your word, and not just asking the people on your team or in your family and on your team to think about their season and to think about their word. What's the communal word? What's the word that you'll all share? Because that word, remember, that word becomes a filter. That word becomes a filter. And when you're facing challenges, when you're facing opportunities, when you're facing choices, those challenges, those opportunities, those choices, they need to be filtered through your word. And if it doesn't line up, if it doesn't align with how you said you wanted to navigate life in this season, then you may have to go in a different direction. That works for your team as well. What's going to be your team's word for the year? Is it going to be clarity? Is it going to be purpose? Is it going to be intention? Is it going to be reflection? And how will you leverage that word to get the most out of this year? It's okay. You've broken resolutions in the past. Maybe you've broken resolutions 2 weeks into the year. What if we shifted from resolutions to a word? A powerful word, a reflective word, a purposeful word, a word that serves as a guide, a word that serves as a filter so that we can take better advantage of everything that this year has to offer. Choose your word and choose wisely.